Hello students. So in last class we started with our first chapter of biology, that is the fundamental unit of life. In that um, we started with the introduction part. In that we discussed two main points. One was that cell is the fundamental unit of life, or you can say the basic unit of life, or you can say it is the structural and functional unit of life present in all the living organisms. Okay, so this is clear. Second thing we discussed was about microscopes. So we drew a structure of microscope. We discussed about various parts of microscope. That is clear. And we also discussed why do we use microscope. We use microscope to observe cells. So this was about the last class. So I hope everything is clear. So in today's class, we will discuss mainly about the discovery of cell. About the discovery of cell. So this is the main topic of discussion of today's class. Along with this little topics, few more topics we are going to discuss. So back in 1665, there were no microscopes and nobody knew that living things are made up of separate units. But there was a scientist called Robert Hooke. He designed his own microscope and he observed cork under his microscope. For those who do not know what a cork is, you see this bottle? This wooden part. This is cork. This cork is obtained from bark of a tree. So this is obtained from tree. So you can consider this as living matter. So Robert Hooke observed this cork under his microscope, and what he observed was a structure like this. That is various hexagonal units repeating themselves. Various hexagonal units were repeating themselves. So for the first time, someone discovered that living things are made up of separate units. This structure looks like a honeycomb. You have seen a beehive where the honeybees live? So this structure looks like that. He named these little compartments as cell. So the term cell is derived from a Latin word cellula. Latin is a language. Latin word cellula, which means a little room. So here the diagram you see, this is the microscope. This is the microscope that Robert Hooke used, and this is how cork looked. This is how the cork was visible under microscope. So who discovered cell? So it was the scientist Robert Hooke. In 1665 he discovered cell. And how? He had a self-designed microscope. Under that he observed cork. That's how he discovered cell. For the first time, he was the first person who discovered that living things are made up of separate units. And from here, the quest started in the field of cell, and scientists started to improve the microscopes. Then there were other scientists, like in 1674, Leeuwenhoek. What he did was he improved the microscope further and he observed pond water, where he found single cells living independently. After that, there was a scientist Robert Brown. In 1831, he discovered nucleus. So nucleus is main organelle present inside the cell. This we are going to read when we will start the structure of the cell. So before that, I can give you one vague idea how a cell looks like. So this I am drawing a cell. Cell can be of any shape. Here I have drawn a spherical shape. The cell can be of any shape. Inside the cell, many organelles are present, but the main organelle, main head, main in charge is nucleus. And all inside it, liquid matter is present. This liquid matter was called protoplasm. This liquid matter was called protoplasm by Purkinje, a scientist, in 1839. And the nucleus, it was discovered by Robert Brown. So who discovered cell? Robert Hooke. Who discovered nucleus? Robert Brown. Who coined the term protoplasm for the fluid substance of the cell? It was scientist Purkinje. So I hope this is clear. You have to learn the name of each and every scientist. So it is important. So after all these little discoveries, what scientists did was, scientists could generalize few laws, and they put them under one cell theory. So what was cell theory? So the cell theory was given by two scientists, Schleiden and Schwann. Pay attention to the pronunciation. It is Schleiden and Schwann. Schleiden was a scientist. He used to study plants. He said that all the plants are made up of cells. While Schwann, he used to study animals. So he said that all the animals are made up of cells. So both these points were joined and the first point of cell theory was made. So it was, all these plants and animals are composed of cells. And the second point was, cell is the basic unit of life which is present in all the living organisms. So these were the two main points given by the scientists Schleiden and Schwann. You have to learn the spelling of these names and the correct pronunciation. Later on, a scientist called Rudolf Virchow, he added one more point. He said that old cells, they divide to produce new cells. That means the new cells arise from the pre-existing cells. That means the cells divide. In the last lecture also, I told you that the cells divide, and about cell division we are going to study at the last of this chapter. So now you can easily explain what are the main points of cell theory, which all scientists are involved in cell theory. So it is important, you have to remember. So I repeat once again, Robert Hooke, he discovered cell in 1665. Robert Brown discovered nucleus, the main head of the main organelle of the cell. And the cell theory was given by Schleiden and Schwann. These three are most important. You need to remember them. And you also need to remember the main points of cell theory and also its extension. I hope it's clear. So that was the main topic of today's class, that is the discovery of cell. Now the next is all the living organisms which are present on the entire earth. They can be divided into two parts on the basis of number of cells they have in their body. So it can be of two types, the unicellular organisms and the multicellular organisms. Uni means one and multi means many. So unicellular organisms are made up of only one cell, or you can say they are made up of only single cell. Example is paramecium, amoeba and bacteria. You have studied about amoeba. You have studied about the nutrition process of amoeba in lower classes. So amoeba is a single cell. Okay, only single cell is there in amoeba. While in multicellular organisms, for example, plants, animals, humans also, we have so many cells in our body. And different cells are performing different functions. Pay attention, different cells are performing different functions. For example, we have a heart. we have a heart. The cells of the heart, what they do is they contract and pump the blood so that blood can flow in our blood vessels. We have muscles in our body. The cells of the muscle, they contract so that we can move. We have stomach. The cells of the stomach are specialized for digestion. They secrete certain enzymes. Yes, you have read this in lower classes. They secrete enzymes for the digestion of food. Okay, so in multicellular organisms, different cells are performing different functions. Or you can say different cells are specialized to perform different functions. While in a unicellular organism, for example amoeba, one single cell is performing all the functions. Okay, you have seen amoeba, how amoeba moves. How amoeba moves? It moves by pseudopodia. So this single cell, it forms foot-like projection called pseudopodia. It moves. Digestion also, it is happening inside this cell only. Respiration, that means energy production, everything is happening inside a single cell. So this single cell is performing all the activities which are essential for survival of this amoeba. While in multicellular organisms, different cells are performing different functions. So here I introduce one new term, one new phrase to you, that is division of labor. Labor means work. For example, suppose I have given one project to 5 students. Like there is a team of 5 students and they have to do one single project. So what you will do? You will divide the work amongst 5 of you. So different students will be performing different functions, different work, so that work can be completed efficiently or in time. So same is with the multicellular organisms. So in them also different cells are performing different functions. So that means all the work in a multicellular organism has been divided by the cells. And now different cells are performing different functions. So you can say that there is division of labor in multicellular organism. That means different cells are performing different functions. That means they have divided their work. So there is division of labor in these multicellular organisms. But in unicellular organism, one cell is performing all the functions. Digestion also, making energy also, movement, locomotion also. Okay, so one cell is performing all the functions. So, but inside a cell, when you see inside a cell, there are different compartments, or you can say there are different organelles which perform different functions. Like you go in an office, okay, you have seen offices or banks. In that different compartments are there where different functions are happening. So same is the case with cell. Inside a cell, different organelles are present. So different organelles are performing different functions. So you can say that in unicellular organism, the division of labor is present at organelle level. At the organelle level. Okay, so is it clear? In multicellular organism, different cells are performing different functions. So division of labor is at cellular level. While in unicellular organism, one cell is performing all function. But when we look inside a cell, different organelles are performing different function. Okay, so we can say that in unicellular organism, division of labor is present at organelle level. So you have understood about this division of labor. Now the last topic is about cell shape and size. So inside a multicellular organism, I told you that different cells are performing different functions. So according to their function, the cells have different shape and size. For example, the nerve cell. what it does is it transfers the information from one place to another. Okay, so that is why it is long. Its shape is enlarged, it is elongated. While other cells like ovum, bone cell, smooth muscle cell, red blood cell, sperm cell, epithelial cell, all these cells have different functions and accordingly they have different shapes. Okay. So we can say that in multicellular organism, the shape and size of the cells, different cells, is according to their function. And also, some cells, for example amoeba, they don't have a fixed shape. Yes, you have studied about amoeba in lower classes. They don't have a fixed shape. They keep on changing their shape. While most of the other cells, they have a fixed shape. So I hope you have understood each and everything of today's class. Now regarding homework, you have to do question number 1, 2 and 4 of the worksheet. So I'll be giving you worksheet today. You have to solve question number, you have to solve question number 1, 2 and 4 on your own. And for classwork, I'll be providing you notes. So I repeat, this video is only for your understanding. You have to understand the concept from this. You don't have to write anything from this. Whatever you have to write, I'll be providing that in the form of PDF or scanned copies, and homework I'll be giving you at the end of the video. So I hope it is clear. Thank you.